We're always told that to save money, you just pick the cheapest option, right? But what if that's a total trap? What if I told you that chasing the lowest price tag is actually the one thing keeping you from building real wealth and, real freedom? Yeah, it sounds crazy. So let's get into it. And this was a personal realization for me that just hit me like a ton of bricks. After tracking my own spending for 5 years, I thought I was hacking the system, being so smart. But the numbers, man, the numbers told a completely different story. It turned out all my so-called savings were really just a down payment on a whole lot of future frustration. I know what you're thinking. It sounds completely backward, right? I mean, how can spending less money possibly lead to having less money? It just doesn't make sense. Well, that is the exact question we are going to unpack today. And trust me, the answer is going to fundamentally change the way you look at every single price tag from now on. All right, first step, the frugality trap. This is all about a huge mistake I personally made for years. It's the simple but incredibly costly belief that a low price tag always equals a smart purchase. Oh man, I used to wear frugality like a badge of honor. I was that guy. The one who sorts every single online search from price low to high. I genuinely thought everyone else was a sucker for paying full price, while I was over here getting away with these amazing bargains. But here's the thing, I wasn't getting a bargain, I was just renting garbage. Okay, let's just look at the raw math from a real life example. My headphones. I bought these cheap pairs, and they would break like clockwork, almost every 3 months. Over 2 years, I ended up spending way more money constantly replacing them than if I just bought one good pair from the start. That initial saving, it was a complete and total illusion. And that experience right there led me to this huge aha moment. It's a simple little formula that completely rewired my brain when it comes to spending. Honestly, this is the key to escaping that frugality trap for good. Okay, get this. The price tag is basically a lie. It's not the real cost. The only number that actually matters is the cost per use. It's simple. You just divide the price by the number of times you use it. This tells you the real price you pay every single time you use something. And this, my friends, is where supposedly expensive things suddenly reveal themselves to be incredibly cheap. Let's break it down with a classic example, a t-shirt. You see a $5 shirt from a fast fashion brand and you think, what a deal. But you know how it goes. It shrinks, the seams get all twisted, and it just looks terrible after a few washes. You're lucky if you get 5 good wears out of it, so that's $1 every time you wear it. Now, compare that to a $50 merino wool shirt. Sounds insane, right? But I have one I've worn pretty much every week for 3 years. That's over 150 wears and counting. So, do the math. The $50 shirt cost about 33 cents per wear. That means the expensive shirt, the one that costs 10 times more upfront, is literally 3 times cheaper every single time I put it on. I'm telling you, once you start thinking in terms of cost per use, the entire game just changes. But listen, this isn't just about money. In fact, I'd argue that money is often the least important part of this whole equation. The real hidden costs of buying cheap are your time and your sanity. Yeah, I call this the time tax. Think about it. When you buy a cheap item, you're basically signing an invisible contract to waste your most precious, finite resource, your time, just dealing with all the problems that come with it. It's those hours you spend on hold with customer service, the trips back to the store for a return, or just trying to fix something that never should have broken. I have a perfect example of this. This actually happened to me. I thought I was being so clever saving like 40 bucks on a cheap power drill. But of course, it died right in the middle of a project on a Saturday. And in that moment, that tiny $40 saving was just instantly erased by the sheer frustration and the lost afternoon I spent dealing with it. So it forces you to ask the real question. What is your time worth? I mean, seriously, if you value your freedom, if you value your weekends, you simply cannot afford to fill your life with things that are designed to break. That $40 was not worth 4 hours of my life. It never is. And this leads to another really common trap, one I call the upgrade ladder. You know how this goes. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just a beginner, I'll start with the cheap version. So you buy the $30 entry-level thing and it breaks or just doesn't work well. So then you upgrade to the $80 mid-tier one, which is fine, I guess. But eventually you just give in and buy the high-quality one you should have bought from the very beginning. In this real-world example from my photography hobby with a tripod, I ended up paying for the same exact solution 3 times. I wasted $110 and a whole lot of frustration in the process.
Buying so-called beginner gear is often just a down payment on the thing you are gonna end up buying anyway. Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Does this mean you should just go out and buy the most expensive version of everything? No, absolutely not. That's not the point. The point is to be strategic. It's about figuring out where your money is going to have the biggest impact.
See, investing in quality isn't about showing off or status. It's about removing friction from your life. Think about it. If your running shoes give you blisters, you're probably going to stop running. If your kitchen knife is so dull it just squishes the tomato, you're probably just going to order takeout. Good quality tools remove those little daily annoyances that stand between you and the habits you're trying to build.
So look, I'm still frugal, I really am, but now I'm strategic about it. I have a simple framework. I only pay a premium for quality if an item fits one of these three rules. Rule number one, I use it every single day, like my mattress or my office chair. Rule number two, it directly affects my health or safety. Think car tires or good food. And rule number three, it has a good resale value, so I can get my money back later, like a good camera lens. The simple filter right here makes almost every spending decision super, super easy. And really, this is the ultimate goal, isn't it? The whole point isn't to own a bunch of expensive stuff. The point is to own a few things that work so perfectly that you just forget they even exist. You stop shopping for replacements, you stop dealing with returns, you actually exit the endless consumer cycle. And you free up all that money, time, and mental energy for the things that truly matter in your life.
So I'll leave you with this question. Just take a look around you right now. What is that one cheap item in your life that's costing you more than you think? You know, that squeaky chair, that glitchy piece of software, that dull kitchen knife. What's that one thing that's secretly draining your resources? Because just identifying it, that's the first step to buying back your freedom.